Hello, everybody. Hope you guys had a great week. Let me open up my blonde beer, Blonde de Chambly, to pour into the glass. And we are Friday. Time flies. I have the impression of not being able to see any weeks. They just fly by, and I'm like, wow. We're having snow squalls, so sometimes, like right now, it's just a little bit of snow falling. But about 20 minutes ago, I could almost not see the other side of the street because it was so intense. And we're supposed to have these really, really strong snow showers for the next few hours with winds, because it's going to be really cold tonight. Supposed to drop down to minus 14, which is, in the teens on the Fahrenheit scale. It's going to be, actually, we're going to beat a cold record. We beat a cold record this week for November. And we're going to beat another one probably tonight. The coldest it's ever been on a day like today, according to stats, was like minus 10. And tonight we're going to be minus 14. So we're going to beat, we actually beat a few records this week. The biggest amount of snow so early in November. We beat a cold record on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? We're going to beat another cold record tonight. Crazy weather that we're having. And snow squall time from time to time. So, I kind of like this. It's kind of, entertaining. Something is happening outside. And I'm inside, so I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to, here it's like rush hour starting pretty much at 3 p.m. because people go back home from work. So it's like, they are going to go nuts through that in the next few hours. I don't have to. I'm home and I'm, enjoying beer, doing a live show. The beautiful life. You can almost say it's a beautiful life. So nice to have everybody here. This is the Friday edition of the Shortwave show. Today, in this Friday edition, we're going to have digital modes. We're going to check digital modes tonight. I think it's going to be fun to check that out. And we're going to, of course, entertain. Maybe some people will have the urge to maybe try to decode their first digital signals. So that'd be cool. And hopefully we'll have fun tonight. My name is Gilles, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are live twice a week, Wednesday at 0 UTC. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. On Friday, we are live at 20 UTC. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And we try to just have fun with radio. There's a wonderful chat room with wonderful people. You can ask questions. You can, it's a really great place to learn. It's a great place to exchange about radio. We're all in the same radio geek sphere. So we are among the same people that we are. So that's kind of cool. And everybody here feels welcome, and everybody is welcome. I think it's one of the best groups. You want to join another great place where, in between the live shows, I call it kind of an extension of the shows. We have a Facebook group, which is official SWL channel. The Facebook group is meant to kind of continue what we have here. So, you can join there. You can share your logs. You can share whatever you're listening to. You can share your shack, show us a picture of what it looks like. Or if you have only one radio, hey, put it somewhere and you have a shack. It's just, one radio, and that's cool. One radio is enough. If you use it, one radio is enough. I'd rather have one radio that's being used all the time than a gazillion radios that you never turn on. Or I'd rather have somebody say, well, I got a small text and receiver, but he listens to the radio all the time, than somebody with a, big gun ICOM that never turns it on and listens to radio once a year. It's kind of sad. Radios are meant to be used and turned on and listen to different signals. And that's what we are trying to have here is, have everybody join in, have fun with their radios. So I hope you're going to enjoy today's Friday show. It's always fun to be here, of course. And don't hesitate, don't be shy to send us a little email, officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. Say, a little hi, and let me just check it out here. And so we've got Elizabeth that says hello to everybody, and that she is ready with her Kenwood receiver to tune the bands and listen to the show tonight. So welcome aboard, Elizabeth, in Regina, in Saskatchewan. And basically hope that everybody will have fun. And don't hesitate to say hi. There's a few people that joined the group, the Facebook group, and were saying, I don't really participate much. I'm not the kind of guy that says hi in the chat room, but I'm there listening. I'm one of those people listening in the background and trying to just enjoying the shows that you have, and it's kind of cool because there's a lot more people watching and not participating than people just in the chat room chatting. So it's kind of cool to see and to have news about these people that are actually watching and say hello. Mark Cope, nice to have you here from Dallas, Texas. Bagoon Shortwave DX SM68481, nice to have you on board from Boris, Sweden. Nice to have you here. Of the Dawn, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? William Conlon, nice to have you here. We have Matambali in Colorado, nice to have you on board. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess, CQW85107SWL in Louisiana, USA. WOHP 1390, nice to have you on board. Rick, W8PRR in Ohio. Moonfest Madness, nice to have you here. NL13851 from the Netherlands, nice to have you on board. Moonfest Madness is throwing out 40 meter whisper signal to see if anybody can listen. M6PNP. Cool. Matambali has Trenton Military from Trenton, Ontario, Canada on 15034. Max Headstrong, nice to have you on board from Michigan. Michael Langer, nice to have you on board from Illinois. Pretty cool. Jersey Bound, nice to have you here, my friend. Bonjour PLF Radio, bienvenue. C'est toujours un plaisir de vous avoir parmi nous. De la France. JD Williamson, nice to have you here. Brian, Iowa, nice to have you here, my friend. Joe Rotman, nice to have you on board from the Chicago area. Salut Vince, et bienvenue de Deux Montagnes. Just not that far from Montreal, it's actually quite close. Junior Phillips, nice to have you here from Barbados, where I'm sure the weather is very different from what I see out the window. Nice to have you here. Dax Power 74 from Germany. Cheers, my friend. Nice to have you here. And let's do a little cheers and say hi to everybody. Cheers. 45 Unit. Nice to have you on board from Florida. Vianney, salut. Bienvenue de la Gaspésie. Nice to have you on board from the eastern part of the province of Quebec. What else do we have? Let's go down. I hate it when it jumps. Like really fast. Max Strong, January and November in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's pretty much what we have here too. Really, really crazy. Chris Freitas, nice to have you here from North Fort Myers. Nice to have you on board as usual. 70 degrees over there. That's much better than here. We're at about 32 right now, and it's going to drop tonight. Scott Cranston, nice to have you on board from Massachusetts. Listening to IHF Iro over the Atlantic all afternoon. Cool. That's fun. Michael Langer, got beer, smoke, and heat, and a radio. What else is there? I don't know. What is there other than that? Scott loves the new Facebook page. Well, I think it's fun, and I think it was something that a lot of people were missing. Because I see that a lot of people are actually, posting in there and sharing everything that they're listening to. And it's really a lot of fun to see all the action going on there. We're at 177 members, I think, as of just, before the show. So it's pretty cool. Let's continue to grow and have radio fans and people that just love talking about radio. Dave Tott, nice to have you on board, Dave. Pretty cool. John Armicar, nice to have you here from cold Northeast Ohio. Kimberly, I was thinking about you about 10 minutes before the show started, because I know how you like to see what's outside. And we have snow squall. We actually have a snow squall warning. So I'm sure you don't have that in your neck of the woods there, Kimberly, in California. So basically, snow squalls are very intense snow showers. And because there's a cold front passing through. So it could be sunny, and suddenly in like a couple of minutes, it becomes really, really dark. And then it snows so hard that you barely see the other side of the street. And it does that for 10, 15 minutes. And then it tapers off, and then the sun comes back, like if nothing ever happened. And just before the show, about 15 minutes before the show, we had one. And it was pretty heavy. I mean, I could see the other side of the street, but it was like a snowstorm for like 10 minutes. And now it's back to it's cloudy, but nothing falling. So we're supposed to have that type of weather for the rest of the afternoon, which is giving me the urge to actually make my Christmas tree. J.D. Williamson, yes, we do have the best group, absolutely. Matambale says 5830. Am I hearing 5830 here, just out of curiosity? Yeah, I hear something on 5830. And so you say that on no less as it 5830. Yeah, it's not nowhere to be seen. So I don't know. I would, by what I'm hearing, because 0 to 14 UT, there's WTWW in Lebanon, Tennessee. And I'm wondering if it's not that. It sounds like the type of show they would have. But of course, I'm not sure. We're going to check out also, keep an eye out for pirate stations. So, nothing posted today yet. So we'll keep an eye on what's happening on the radio world. Mark Helford, nice to have you here. Michael Andrews Beer. TV Radio 1972. Nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Bought the Ethan Elliott Executive on sale for $100 on Amazon. That's cool. That's a nice deal. Really nice deal. It's nice radio. I see a lot of people really enjoying that receiver. Daniel Teagarden. Nice to have you on board from Palm Springs, California. Donald Hosmer, nice to have you here. W8SWL, sunny day in northern wooded Michigan. Cold out. And gunshots fill the air as it's the first day of gun deer season. Oh, really? Yeah, let's hope you stay safe there. I mean, there are most of them are okay, but when it's hunting season, there's always a couple of idiots mixed into the regular people that do that. Max Estron, question for the group: can anyone tell me the cheapest ham transceiver with spectrum scope that has a straight video output? Huh. Anybody has an answer for that? What else do we have? TV Radio 72 says, I use radios for various purposes, such as a Grundig G3 for SSB, PL 606 for shortwave using easy tuning mode. John Ritson, nice to have you on board. And it's crazy. Work is always crazy. There should be, you know, we should be able to call the boss and say, well, you know, not say that I'm sick, I can't come to work today or anything. We should actually, by law, be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't be in tomorrow because I'm going to do some radio. We'll have the official Gilles holiday. Well, it's Friday and Gilles on, so I'm using my paid holiday. It's Gilles holiday. Of the Don says his radios keep him warm at night. That was certainly true when a lot of tube receivers, you know, in the good old days when everything was tubed. I mean, why have, you know, heating? You just turn on the radios and you're heating your whole room. Oh, man. Rob, nice to have you on board from warm Phoenix, Arizona. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Winter is awesome. It is. I love it. I am happy. I am one of the rare people that, you know, of among all my friends, I'm one of the rare people that can actually say, I just love that stuff. It's just great. Man. Zach Liang, nice to have you here, Zach. Stephen Odonoghue, nice to have you on board, Steve, in the UK. Joe Sombranuas, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Brazil. Pretty cool. Donald Hosmer says, anyone hearing CHU 7850? Heard it was back, but not heard here. I saw a post in the Facebook group, actually, today, that somebody has received 7850. I'm going to try it, but I usually never hear it. No, I've got nothing here, but I saw a post today of somebody said that he was hearing 7850, so they're back. So, no, I never tried. I not with the RSP. Actually, I don't like SDR console. I never liked that software. Eddie SX, nice to have you on board from the frozen shores of Lake Huron. Rekreb Reke, nice to have you here from Turkey and loves radio. That is cool. That is cool. Joe Gomez, nice to have you here from San Diego. Liam Donovan, nice to have you on board, Liam, from the UK. Loves to listen and learn. Cool. Mark Groh, nice to have you on board. Wanted a cheap shortwave radio, so I grabbed a CountingCom GP5 SSB Gen 3 just to have in a car. Waiting its arrival. It's sensitive and it's a good radio. I think you'll have a lot of fun. The biggest negative side to it is the lack of a keypad, so it drives you a little nuts when you tune around the bands. But for the reception, it is sensitive and you'll hear a lot of stuff. The easy tuning mode is fantastic. It's the one that I use all the time for that. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun. But a keypad would have been really, really Nice. Zach Leanne says RTM Sarawak is been back for since 3 days, 98.35. What's the schedule? Are they broadcasting at this time? I'm not sure I can get this now, but cool. So Steve from the UK, nice to have you here. Dory boy, got a question. I just bought a Han-Rongda 737 pocket radio around the 30 megahertz area. It's receiving FM broadcast band transmissions connected with UK FM band, which is 88 to 108. Yeah, it happens quite often that these radios overload on strong FM stations. That is a flaw of a lot of the radios that have bad front ends that just can't cope with strong signals. I got a few of those radios here that makes it almost impossible to listen. Paul, nice to have you on board in the UK. Matambale says, all I have for 5830 is WTWW and BBC. Yeah, that's what I also have. But by the program that I was hearing, I would not be surprised it could be WTWW with an extended schedule. Randy in Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you on board from Brazil with Texan PL660. Yeah. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Chris Freitas, cheers as well, drinking a Lina Kungel's Cranberry Ginger Shandy. I'd like to try that. That must be good. That must be real good. That's it, Chris. I'm going down to Florida and we're going to meet up. Trond, nice to have you on board from Norway. Jack, nice to have you here. On your right behind you is that DPR1B. Can't recall the actual name. How you like it? So on my right behind me, I don't know which one you're referring to. This is a Ethon S350DL. That's a Radio Shack Pro 92. That's a Yaesu FT450. What other radios are there in here that I can think of? Because on my left, I've got a DGen D1106. So I don't know exactly what, if I've gone through what you are mentioning. Brett Wayne, nice to have you here from Salamanca, New York. KC2NXB is the AM call name. XFAR 74, Germany, no snow, +6. 5085 is one frequency that WTWW uses, but 5830 is another one here. Kimberly says, wow, the weather, it's 68, 20 Celsius. That's great. Brent says, please say hello to Elizabeth if she's listening. She is. She just sent an email saying that she was prepared to watch the show. So let me just check if I have anybody else here. We've got Jim that says hello, not in the chat room, rarely interact with anything, but I love watching you live and I love the videos that you've been posting. I would like to have a whole series on every digital mode that you can decode and show us how to do it, because I need help. There are modes that I have a lot of difficulty decoding, and maybe you can shed a light and help us all, because you're amazing at explaining radio stuff. It says, take care. Hello to everybody. And Jim is in Norfolk, Virginia. So, hey, Jim. Cool to have you on board. And we have Taranda, I hope I pronounced it well, Taranda, and he's listening from Belgium, and he says that he just loves the show and has been listening for a month only now, but has been watching all the previous shows, and he just loves to watch that and spend an evening with his radios that he is using. Sony ICF 7600JR, and he's got a old tube set that he doesn't really know exactly what it is because there's no plates or no information on the radio itself. And he says that he's going to try to find a way to send me the picture of the radio if he can during the show and ask everybody if we can identify it for him, if anybody knows what it is. It works well, and he listens to shortwave with it. So cool, and nice to have you on board. And if anybody else wants to say hi through email, officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. It's nice to have you here, my friends. Brett Wayne, 33 Fahrenheit in Salamanca. It's about that, basically. Tony Potenza. Have I received any Quebec pirates? In the past, there was one pirate station that we think was broadcasting from somewhere in southern Quebec. Most of what I've heard are in Ontario, but I have heard one in the past. I'm trying to remember the name. It's a long time ago, and there were some kind of rumors that it might be one broadcasting from the southern Quebec province. I wouldn't be surprised that there were a few, but we just don't know because it's kind of difficult to pinpoint any position for shortwave pirates. We have a general idea, but we can't pinpoint it really, Sidvic, nice to have you here, my friend. RFDXer, nice to have you on board from East Central Pennsylvania. Jerry is voting Jill for Prime Minister. Yes, we are. Jack says, you want to answer my question? Lest I key your car on your right, behind you. On my right behind me is really 3 radios. Ethon S350DL. Radio Shack Pro. There's a Radio Shack Pro 2006, Pro 92, Yeast UFT 450, and I don't have. I don't know for the rest. René Charbonnier, nice to have you on board, my friend, from the Netherlands, I think. I got a blank here. PLF Radio. Today we're gonna try some a few little things. Some digital decode of some weather facts, if we can find some digital decode in a ham band. See what we can listen to. Atom Valley, winter's a real plus when your commute to work is walking on carpet to the shack. That's pretty much what is happening in my case. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Pasquale, nice to have you on board from Bologna, Italy. Pasquale. Edmund Spicer, nice to have you here. Watching tonight, 6 degrees centigrade in south coast of England. At 2020 UT. Nice to have you on board. Ed, M0MNG. Terry Cook, case F7BQ in Montana. Menu on your 8600 just froze up. Wow. These are computers. Honestly, these are computers. These radios are very complex and they are computers, so they can freeze up. Hell, small little portable like a Texan can freeze because of some zap or some, static electricity. Eduardo Monteiro, nice to have you here from Rio de Janeiro. Pretty cool. Ja Osamranua says 11810, which is BBC, I believe. Yeah, not too bad. Have you guys noticed on 11810 the BBC signal has that kind of a hum? It reminds me of Sorry. Reminds me of a. I'm sorry. Reminds me of the old that we would hear on Russian transmitters of Radio Moscow. Zach Liang says prepare for the PL 990, if you like, next February in the market. So that's going to be an interesting radio to look at. Mark Groh, nice to have you here. Davis MacArthur, nice to have you on board. KN4YXB. What is a good HF radio when I get my general? So what would you guys suggest for a transceiver for our friend here, Davis in Atlanta, Georgia? Miki Dalmage, nice to have you here. Says I also saw the post about 7850 CHU back on, but I've tried several times and nothing. This time of year, the band is open most of the day to hear. So, I don't know. Maybe it was a short-lived event. Joe Sombra US says 25 meters is quite good today. Keegan, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. Okay, tell 1400. Zach, I'm going to check that out. 9835. Brett Wayne says, I have Fridays off all summer, not in winter. Oh yeah, you plow the snow. Yeah. Remember now. PLF radio here in Lyon, France. It's almost zero in a region where there was snow and some people have no electricity. Some roads are still not available. Wow. We didn't hear it. That's fun because not what's happening, but it's fun that you guys talk about what's happening in your neck of the woods because that's the kind of thing we don't hear on the news. We have no idea that it's happening in France, Thanks for 74. My XH Data D808 make problems. The fine-tuning button is broken. Oh, really? So sad. Zach Liang, 3750. Wow, full modulation. Which is Bangladesh, I think, right? Yes, Shom, 97.7 FM. Max S. Strong says, hello, Elizabeth. Joe Rudman says, my beer of choice today is Crystal Lake Brewing Beach Blonde Lager. Local brew. Cool. Simon Templar says, hello, Elizabeth. Greetings from Portland, Oregon. Hope you have a great weekend. Cool. Chris Freitas says, aha, come on down. It actually isn't bad, but I love their summer shandy and grapefruit one. You should find it in most stores, but that's in the States, not sure about Canada. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. There's so many differences with what's available in US and Canada in terms of alcohol and beer and stuff. Terry Cook says, hey, Elizabeth and Jim. Jerry says, hi, Elizabeth. Brett Wayne and Keegan say hi, Jim and Elizabeth. So it's kind of cool to have everybody here saying hello to everybody. Jean-Marc Letts, France on board. Recent member of the Facebook group. Cool, Jean-Marc. Great to have you here. Yes, the Netherlands, right. René Charbonnier. I was right. I was like, yes, Netherlands. I think it's the Netherlands. NS Norfolk. Nice to have you on board, Chuck. Pretty cool. Max S. Strong says Universal Radio has the ICOM 7300 transceiver for sale. So I know that a lot of people like the 7300. A lot of people. So that could be one. Alan Lafferty here in on the island of Montreal saying hello. Nice to have you here, Alan. Let me just check the email a little bit more, see if anybody has joined in. Once again, don't forget there's a Facebook group now, which is the official SWL channel that you can join in. Share your logs of what you're listening to. Yeah, 7300. A lot of people. I almost said it actually when the ICOM 7300 is, I think, for the price, an amazing transceiver. So many people use it, and so many people love it. Simon Templar, FT450 Yaesu, ICOM IC 7300. Yeah, FT450 is pretty nice. I don't know if I would like to compare it with the ICOM IC 7300, honestly. Matambali has been enjoying the new MLA30. By the way, while it's not quite as sensitive as the 140 feet dipole, I can steer it away from some nasty local noise, and the lower bands are listenable now. At least that. But in a quite enough environment, I'm pretty sure dipoles do beat pretty much any loop. Sid Vic says, was listening to D-Star Reflector. You got a shout out from a KI station talking to a VD3 as having a great show on YouTube. Okay. Cool. That's kind of interesting. KI5, yeah. Oh, cool. Cool. JD Williamson, Kenwood TS 430, 440, 450, 2000. Yaesu FT450. ICOM 7300, depends on your needs and how much money you have. And I think for starters also, people that want to get into the hobby, never forget that you might sometimes find a great deal on a used transceiver. You just got to be very careful, make sure that it works well. But that could be a nice way to start also. Boris Borowitz, what's my favorite beer? I can't say I got a favorite that I will rent to, because that's the one I would want. But what I have here in the Unibrew selection is pretty good. I would say generally anything that is not an IPA. IPAs I just can't. But anything that's not an IPA is fine. Donald Mayotte, nice to have you here. Enjoys the Yaesu FT891. Matambali says, I steer it away from the different local noise sources, one near 5 megahertz and one at 12 and 24. That's the cool thing about the loop antenna. You can actually remove it from the noise. Creep Brian, nice to have you on board from the bathtub. I hope you're not using something that's plugged into electricity, though. That's a bad idea in the bathtub. David McArcher says 73 is from KN4YXB. Thanks for the recommendations. Cool. Wow, lots of people without electricity, man. PLF Radio. Hope things get better soon. We were, we got a battering last week, 2 weeks ago. Last week, it was 2 weeks ago, I think. With that the really high winds that we got and the storm that we got. We were almost at 1 million households without electricity at one point. What was it? Not last Friday. I think it was the Friday before. Pretty crazy weather. 2 weeks ago. RFDXer. Speaking of beer, it is now sold in grocery stores here in Pennsylvania. Just a couple of years ago or so, you could only buy beer at licensed bars, restaurants, and state-run stores. Oh, nice. Here we have rules that are beer can be sold in grocery stores. Some wine, but only the cheapest type of wine. The real, if you want to have a good bottle of wine, you have to go to the liquor store, which is state-owned. It's owned by the Quebec government. and hard liquor is pretty much only in the state-owned stores. Toby Allen, nice to have you on board from Norway. So Facebook page, official SWL channel. Same name as the YouTube channel here. Matambali says, well, also surprised despite reports that the MLA30 does pretty well at low frequency for such a small loop. Did not notice any serious issues with noise from the bias T down here. I see a lot of stuff, and I've seen one guy that tweaks a lot that actually was talking about how he changed a lot of the stuff, and he's, used the bias T for powering. He's used a lot of things. And he actually is surprised that people mention that they have a difference in noise levels, because he says that he tried so many things and that he doesn't see any difference however it's powered, or the way that, even changing the coax, he changed it with a higher quality coax, and he says he has seen zero improvement. He says it seems to already be okay the way it is. So I don't know, but some people do report that they have improved reception by changing the cables and stuff. Maybe it's one of the things I was thinking is maybe it depends on the way you set it up, how you power it, and maybe the noise that you have around it, and all the way through that feed line, actually. Because honestly, my W6 LVP loop has a pretty good coax coming in with the BNC connectors. And when I compare my W6 LVP and my MLA30, my W6 LVP is actually a little noisier. So, what else do we have? QTH.com. 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 Oh, look at that. Nope. It's not. It's you don't. Are you kind of just? Maybe you were talking about QRZ.com, Brett. Oh, to buy used radios. QTH.com. I got QTH.com here, and it's a it's a domain name for sale or something. Are you sure about that? Web address, Brett? Would you rather recommend a portable or stationary CB station? It depends on you. If you never really want to use a portable walkie-talkie style, buy a stationary CB station. But it depends also. Do you have activity there? Because also that's something. You need some activity. Mike says, Trunk says, love the older radios. Yeah, there's something about the older radios that are really, really nice also. Vianney's got a good brandy and a good radio to listen. Life is good. Perfect. We want to keep it that way. Atambali, I'm tempted to do a little refinement on the bias T, but first I've got to see some actual noise coming from it. And with a great shortwave show. I've seen everybody here. Cool. That is possible, Matambale. I mean, we don't have much information about it and where it comes from. But but definitely there might be some improvements over time on the design. That's possible. For sure. They've thought if you got an SDR play, just power the MLA30 with it. Yeah, well, I would have to tap in the SDR play here, so I'd rather use an outboard power supply and not touch anything, personally. But if you do have one that has the easily available tap into the bias T, yeah. Marvin Mutz, nice to have you on board from Japan, Marvin. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you here, my friend. Oh, it's qth.net. .net. It's qth.net. Or qsl.net. Now everybody's mixed. Where are we going? JR's Journeys. Nice to have you here, Jed. KM4UBR from Niagara County, New York. No electricity there. Oh, really? Wow. Off-grid full-time RVer. Oh, man. Okay. That must quiet down some stuff a little bit. RFDXer MLA30 was received here and immediately modified to wire because the steel portion of the loop has an egg beater shape. It wasn't coplanar. Modified MLA30 here is able to 100% null signals. Great, Brian. Do I know the Lincolnshire Poacher Station? Yes, absolutely. They're not on anymore. They've been that number station's been off for a long time. We don't hear it anymore. Jim F, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. William Helms from Florida. Kimberly finally took and passed her extra class amateur radio license last night. Woohoo! Congratulations. Now that means cheers. Congratulations. Fanning Xenakis, we must find new number stations. There's a lot of them out there. If you go to the Prium website, you see there's a full list of number stations from different areas. VNA is VA2 VMA from Quebec. And it's really nice to have all of that. That's what I would need. An ham radio test online. I would pass it. I would pass it. Green Brian says receiving some Russian number stations will be fun with my PL380. Yeah, most of them. Well, there's a few of them that are in AM mode. For example, the one that I would receive a while back on 15721. That's AM mode, and there's a few of them that are AM mode. There's a few one from, I think it's Poland in AM mode also. And you can hear some stuff with the PL380 rough number stations. You'll hear the Cuban one, HM01 is AM mode also. But there are a few in upper sideband, absolutely. Those are going to be kind of impossible. Summon Templar, Lincolnshire Poacher ended broadcasting in 2008. On YouTube, there is a BBC radio show called Tracking the Lincolnshire Poacher. Pretty good. Yeah, I watched that at least twice. 2 or 3 times. It's actually very interesting and, adds to the mystery of all that's happening with, with number stations for sure. Let's check something here. We're going to start. Let me check if I can get 6340, I think. Yep. We're going to try a decode here. So this is, I'm on 6339 upper sideband. And this is the Boston, Massachusetts WeatherFax broadcast. So let's see, hot mode, weather facts, IOC 576. So let's, there it goes. Let's leave it there and see if it decodes anything. I guess it should. Make sure the config is alright. Sound card, audio from Stereo Mix, yeah, should be okay. They're having problems. I noticed Boston has moments where it actually blacks out. Here you go. We're getting a weather facts decode here. I don't know if you guys are hearing it a lot through my microphone. Shouldn't be too bad. So we are decoding 63339 upper sideband right now. Matambali says the null on the MLA30 is so sharp and the noise source is so plentiful and scattered that I'm seriously considering putting a lightweight rotor under it. What's nice about it is that it's not heavy, so it doesn't require a very, very strong rotor. So we are decoding weather facts. Now the black line is there and should be at the end usually. But we're decoding a weather facts on the screen right now. So I don't know if you guys can actually see it. So you see over here, there's a black line. What you want when you decode is that the black line be at the edge, at the edges, right here, or on the, I mean, I'm all messed up and moving in. So that edge or the other edge here. But you could see that it's adjusting itself. If you leave it alone and have a computer that's decent in power, usually often they actually move, because you see here it's moving on its own. You do have the possibility to move it and align it if you want manually. Let's do it here. Here we go. So I'm moving it there. So we're seeing it now. There's a very slight slant, but anyways, we'll move it a little later when it's actually almost done. So kind of nice to decode these things. Dave Todd, Amazon delivered a couple of SMA female to PL259 male adapters today. We'll try the MLA30 on the R71A tonight. You're gonna like that. I ordered my SMA female to PL259 on eBay. That's a pretty good decode. Pretty good decode. Very clear decode, actually. So I'm already opening beer number 2, and we're not even an hour into the show, which is at 9% fin du monde. So that's going to be a... Griebrine lived 2,000 kilometers away from UVB 76 in eastern Germany. You should hear that pretty easily for 625. PLF radio. So shall you have low noise to decode the fax signal? Well, the Boston one comes in really, really strong here. So here we go, guys. And it just ended, so the picture just got removed. But we will... So that's the end, but we're gonna stay there because he's gonna come back probably with another chart. So we'll wait a minute or two, and it should actually, I think, come back with some other chart. Here we go. 6339. So it saves automatically. It tells me that it saved a PNG file. 1 WeFax 2019 1115. So I got the picture that we previously had. So we're going to let it do its job here. And see what we get on that new picture coming up. Radio for Peace International. Nice to have you on board. Haron Kaiser, nice to have you here. Yeah, I tried a few days ago. Didn't hear it, but I heard it 2 or 3 times in the past month or so. I hear. Not super strong, but it was there. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. Says, reminds me of the old weather maps they showed on TV before computer images. Yeah, absolutely. Remember that too. Well, this one is a very beautiful decode. Hopefully it's going to continue like that. So, the NS Norfolk says WeFax is coming is coming from NMF Comstock Boston, and he was stationed there. Cool. How powerful is the Boston WeatherFax station? I don't know exactly. They are using well, NS Norfolk says it used to be 10 kilowatts, so somewhere around there. That I was somewhere around like 7, 8, 9, 10 kilowatts, something like that. Okay, it's 5 kilowatts officially. Okay, thanks NS Norfolk for the information. It used to be 10 kilowatts. Okay, cool. So what mode does CW use of the frequency? Well, there is officially a mode called CW, but in the case where a radio does not have CW, I typically personally tune it like upper sideband, just a little bit below the actual frequency it transmits. But technically there is an official mode called CW when you are or if the X... okay, Cream Brian says in Germany you can buy some beer literally everywhere. I'm currently having some good Mixery Ice Blue. Cool. So we are decoding some weather facts right now. What I am tuned to is 6339 upper sideband. I'm using FLDG. The mode that I'm using to decode it is weather facts. Which is the mode IOC. Let me just get it back here. So WeatherFax IOC 576, and it's a very, very clear decode actually we're getting right now. Let's see if anybody else here on the email. So we got some people that asked to join in. We've got Bert that is in the city of let me just check it out here. I'm not seeing it right. Oh, okay, here it goes. So, Bert is in the city of Barton, Ontario, Canada. He says it's a little city in the north of the province, and he's watching the show. Has been a great fan for a little while. So thanks for showing up. Skydog59, nice to have you here. So CW mode is just SSB with a very narrow filter. Yeah, it's very narrow, absolutely. Daxfars74 says German weather facts on 147.3 kHz Pinnenberg RTTY. I hear Pinnenberg on 12 megahertz and I think it's 7 megahertz also sometimes, and decoding some of the weather stuff there, for sure. Mr. Blackpool, nice to have you on board. Absolutely. PLF Radio says 10-100 for the Pinnenberg RTTY. So I'm not sure I've ever decoded that one. What does it mean if I receive signals sounding like some something like some sort of engine on my shortwave radio. You might be referring to, because there's a similarity actually. You might be referring to a signal that could be Stanag. Stanag has that kind of repetitive sounding kind of motor sound. VFR Foxtrot, nice to have you on board, my friend, from France. Cool, nice to have you here. Yeah, absolutely. NS Norfolk, there's like 6338.6 upper sideband would be the perfect frequency to tune in. What's fun with these software is that even if you're not exactly on, it still works well. But yep, in some cases it's important to do so and tune it right, because the actual frequency is on 6340 kilohertz actually. That's a nice chart with all the I guess this is the waves, the ocean waves. And on the left side there, you could actually see the Great Lakes, and we have Quebec, the province of Quebec right there, and the east coast is going down there. So it's kind of let me just see if I can. You guys don't see it really well, but there's the Great Lakes are here, and but you guys have there's a nice bright spot right there from one of my spots in the screen. I will need to eventually post all the video somehow at some point. Anybody else is decoding the weather facts or doing something trying to decode weather facts? Yeah, well, it happens sometimes, Green Brian. Sometimes the chat room isn't. It depends on the subject, and it depends on a lot of, really a lot of things that we're talking. And sometimes we'll hear talk about a subject. I'll answer a question, then it gives somebody else, the idea of another question, or they want to answer back or look back, So Dr. Sisop says WRMI 9395 jammed again. 7780 is working. It's interesting because it seems that jamming is very local. Probably isn't very powerful, because maybe once I heard 5850 kind of slightly in the noise, but usually I hear it's almost always okay. William Conlon, any info on the Alinco DXR8? Looks nice. Software also available. What do you think? The Alinco DXR8 seems to be a nice radio. It's an expensive way to have a little tabletop receiver. Keep in mind that if you do buy one, it doesn't come with a power supply. You have to have your own power supply. So you got to think about it, because it's going to add to the price of that radio. So it's very important to know that. But what I've seen is that the radio itself performs well. The biggest complaint I think that I've seen was that because it's has a lot of buttons on the front plate, a lot of the people that use it, probably people with bigger hands, complain that the buttons are kind of very close to each other. So that was a nice decode too. Can I just want to see something here. So it actually saved the picture file. So here we go. This is the picture that I got. That's nice. That's nice. So let's go back to the coding. Back to the coding. Now I'm there. I want to go back to the code. Okay. Okay, the code is there. It's coming in. So let me just. Another decode coming up. Oops. Did the wrong thing here. I'm kind of stuck with that window that I don't know how to close. So anyway, it's kind of nice. We decoded a nice picture. Let's check out anything else we can decode, actually. So this was for a weather fax. Maybe we can try a little bit of a WSJTX. Let's try 10136. And let's see if any of you guys want to transmit on FT8 mode on the 30-meter band. Let's go to WSJTX, which is the software that you use to decode FT8. WSJTX requires one thing that is important if you want to have it working, and it's to have a perfect time, perfect clock. So now we are going to 30, so 10136. Let's see what we're going to get here. It's not decoding. Yeah, it's decoding. So here we are. Stations are popping up. I don't know if the font is big enough for you guys to see anything, but it's decoding the AM stations right here. So WSJTX used for JT65, FT8, FT4, Whisper. Nice little software. Your clock on your computer needs to be perfect. If it doesn't decode on your computer, you might have your clock might be off by several seconds. The clock is an important part of the way that it decodes the signal, so that's why it needs to be perfect. Let me just change that filter to 3000. If you're using SDR Uno or using software defined receivers, make sure that you're at least 3000 kilohertz, 3000 hertz, sorry, 3 kilohertz wide in the filter, as not to miss out on all the stations that are there on the FT8 and so on. So there's a CQ from YV5, there's a Venezuela, a lot of stations in the US. There's a PY7PX, which I think is Brazil. So if anybody broadcasts on 30 meters, maybe we can check out if we can hear you guys. What else do we have? RFDXer, what is better to use with SDR software, Windows 7 or 10? I used Windows 7 for a while. I use Windows 10 on all my machines. Both are as good. Windows 10 works fine with pretty much all the software. I got no problem here. René Charbonnier, in all honesty, this is the best show of the week. Rebrind, chat is quite quiet. Yep. PLF Radio, is it a pressure chart? The chart that was there before, it was a ocean wave chart, showing how high the ocean waves. Yeah, they were gonna play some Christmas music soon, like last year on WTWW. Absolutely. Jody Monson, that is a clean picture you got there. Yeah. Well, you know, I usually get really clear pictures out of Boston. Boston is one of the stations that I pretty much always receive really, really well. Can I try UB76? I'm going to wait just a little bit. The sun is setting now, and not long, and we're going to try it. Hey Matt, nice to have you here. No, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be, say, within a second, like you say, probably. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you if you don't use any extra software to make your clock sync automatically, using the Windows or your computer's feature of syncing the clock is usually enough. But it is important that your clock be quite precise. Yeah, that's true, Skydog59. WebSDRs don't work for FT8 or JT65 and things like that. Yeah, early next year, actually. It's the last security updates for Windows 7 is January 14th, 2020. Madrid UDX recommends using an NTP network time protocol program to sync the clock. Wind field chart at 500 millibar altitude. Cool. You probably know more than me on that, on those charts. Glenn Zekman, nice to have you here from Tennessee. Paul, nice to have you here. Paul L. McCord Jr., watching from Oklahoma City, K5GLH. Cool. Honestly, Career Brian, I have absolutely no idea why people always say that they're going to stay on Windows 7. I am a big fan of Windows 10. It's an amazing operating system, honestly. James Bowers, nice to have you on board. KC1ENJ in New Hampshire. There's absolutely no reason to stay on Windows 7. And actually, I have one computer left on Windows 7, and I found it feels so old, honestly. Depends on your version, Skydog59. Windows 10 does sync automatically now, but the Windows 7 does not. Windows 8 does not. Only Windows 10 syncs automatically, which is a new feature. NS Norfolk, 20 years in the U.S. Coast Guard. Cool. I went to the bank, J.D. Williamson, a couple of months back, and I was seeing the Windows XP screensaver, and I was like, oh man, the bank is running Windows XP. Wow. Matt says, I was able to copy FT8 using WebSDR, but I was using JTDX, and I changed the system clock to make it work better. Yeah, you know what? Maybe if you... Because there is a small delay. Maybe if you are able to match your clock sufficiently enough, you probably are able to do so, absolutely. Now, Windows 7 is okay. It's not a bad OS at all. I mean, I used Windows 7 and was happy with Windows 7 for a long time. Page Master, nice to have you here. KC5VOY, WA5136SWL, in Moore, Oklahoma. Winds at 18,000 feet. Wow. Skydeck59 says, 7 and 8 always sync for me. No, they don't. They don't automatically. That I can tell you, they don't automatically. Windows 10 does. Windows 98 second edition, oh god. Terry Cook, Mars Comics 19.4 culminates tomorrow evening, US time, with amateur radio interoperability exercise on 60 meters. Station will use M110A and some MT63. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I had Windows Vista for a while. Windows Vista came good when they had the last service back, because they fixed some of the big flaws that it had. But everybody was happy to go to Windows 7, I can tell you that. Oh, man. Yeah, well, Windows XP was nice because Windows XP was based on a different architecture. It was based on Windows NT. and Windows 2000 that were not the same as Windows 98 and 95, and they were much more stable. Until Windows XP, Windows was often very, very crashy. Because Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows Millennium, they all were pretty much all based on the same code and with upgrades in it. They would crash quite regularly. But Windows XP has fixed that because it was on a different core, and that core was extremely stable. Windows XP was a major if there was a major upgrade in Windows XP was a major upgrade in Windows terms. That's for sure. Yeah, I started. Dave thought I started with. I started with DOS 3.3, I think, or something like that, an older version. I was lucky enough to have a color monitor, an RGB color monitor. Yeah, RFDXer. Yeah, you can't through the stream because they're off by a few seconds, so you can't decode. JD Williamson, go to the Internet Archive. They have tons and tons and tons of old DOS software, including ham radio software. I have an old Amstrad PPC 640, which is a portable with an LCD screen that runs. It's like a XT machine. It runs on an 8088. And I had found a software that would calculate maximum usable frequency, running DOS 3 or something. D-Raf, nice to have you on board from Chile, Kingston, New York. JR's Journeys, what were the earliest operating systems that ran in SDR? So the first cards for machines were for like 386 machines. So they, I don't know if there was ever. That's a question I don't know. Would any earlier SDRs ran? Like there was plug-in cards. Any had special software that would run just in DOS. That's not impossible. But those were kind of the first software-defined receivers. So quite a lot of singles here. Let's try the buzzer just for the fun of it. 4625. Wow, I got a lot of noise today compared to the usual noise. Let's see if it's worse with the W6LVP. So I'm not hearing the buzzer at this time on 4625. DNet, nice to have you here. Yeah, well, actually, the problem with Vista was a rushed operating system. They wanted to do that Longhorn thing, and panicked, scrapped everything, and started fresh. And because of the shareholders going crazy as no new operating system was coming out, they rushed Vista. What else do we have? PLF Radio likes XP a lot. MDK2 is living in Seattle, directly related to my trip here now. When they were getting ready to release Windows 2000, I was called to jury duty, and some Microsoft guy got out of it because he said he was We'll see the rest. Workbench on Amiga Best OS. Yeah, Workbench, absolutely. I mean, the Amiga 500 was way ahead of anything at the time. I got one Amiga right here in the bottom, just here. I needed to help to get Windows 2000 out. The problem with Windows 2000 and Windows XP was that because of the change in architecture, 32, well, a lot of the software that was made for 98 or Millennium wouldn't work anymore. And that actually, that's what I was telling on my tech channel one day. People have a short memory because people tell me, oh, Windows XP was the best ever. Yeah, well, I was a tech guy in the transition from Windows 98 Millennium to XP. I can tell you, people hated Windows XP crazy. They just didn't want it. And the major reason was that change of architecture made a lot of the software stopped working. And a lot of people that had old printers or old scanners or old devices had to actually buy new devices because these old devices wouldn't have any new drivers for Windows XP. And I can tell you that XP was probably one of the most hated operating system at start. But it changed over time. Actually, I liked Windows 8. If you had a tablet, Windows 8 was actually the best Windows for a touch device. Windows 8 is actually the best Windows for a touch device. It's better than Windows 10. Anybody that had a touch device will tell you, wow, Windows 8 is amazing. But the problem is that it was made for a touch device, and they kind of thought that everybody would go there. Skydog59, first computer is a Timon Sinclair 1000. My first was a VIC-20. Had a plug-in cartridge for CW decode. And I had the SWL cartridge for Commodore 64 at one point. Oh, man. Dexfire 74 started in 1999, 56K modem. Wow. I would buy all the new modems. Every time there was a new modem with a higher speed, I would always buy the new modem. And of course, I would spend a lot of money because the new modems were all very expensive, like $200-$300. So I was always there. And I remember when I got a notice. Actually, I started thinking about, wow, I want to have higher speeds. I had to actually subscribe to the two major companies here, Videotron and Bell, and wait until the first one that came up and said, hey, we're happy to say that high-speed internet has come to your home. And I was like, oh, cool. And I remember my first high-speed internet, 1 megabits per second. But that was so fast compared to 56K. Plus, added bonus, you can talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same time. That was cool. Glenn Zekman did not like Windows Millennium. Like their SysOp, Commodore 64, Amiga, best 8-bit PCs. Paul M. McCord, VIC-20 in 83. That's pretty much 83. I got a VIC-20 also. Love that machine. Yes, the Internet Archive has tons of things, by the way. Internet Archive, I'm just going to try to find the place here. Sorry, guys, if we're digressing a little bit out of radio. So the Internet Archive is a great place for people that don't know. Archive.org. Archive.org. Here you will have software, old videos, old shows. There is in here a Wayback Machine. You can actually see what a page looked like in 2005. You can actually go and say, hey, I want to see yahoo.com from 1999. And it's going to give you and show you the page exactly as it was at that time period. It's an amazing place. If you guys never went there, you're going to spend tons of time on that place. And at the top, you see that it says a Wayback Machine. You can actually Type any website and see what it looked like in the past. Crazy. You can see what Google looked like, like at the beginnings. There's a lot of videos. In there, there's shows, computer shows from the 80s that I had tremendous fun watching. Old pictures, there's software, old software every software that was made that kind of ran out of copyright pretty much, or there's just like doesn't matter anymore, is in there. There's a lot of DOS stuff. There's a lot of old Windows stuff. There's even old games that you can play. They actually have, I think it's on that site somewhere, you can actually play old games, old DOS games. They have a DOS emulator within the page, and you just choose the game that you want to play, and it actually plays in that DOS emulator within the page. And you can actually play an old DOS game that maybe you liked in the past. I remember Commander Keen. I remember playing Commander Keen on DOS that I really, really loved, and I went there to actually play it. So archive.org, if you guys want to see that. You're going to have a lot of fun and spending a whole weekend checking out all this stuff on that page. The Internet Archive is actually a non-profit organization that is meant to try to keep everything that was ever on the internet. So, in 100 years from now, if Internet Archive still exists, maybe somebody will stumble upon me talking about radio if it was kept somewhere, and maybe I'll be there in 1,000 years in some form. Oh, look at that. There's a guy 1,000 years ago that was talking about radio. What's that? Watch the stream on the Commodore 64. Man, that's going to be a hard one. Dan805, nice to have you here. RFDXer, PC is an Apple II Plus in 77. Don't be sorry, PLF Radio. It's kind of, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a computer show again. I'm still kind of in a restructure of everything that I do. So, I don't know. Korean Brian, Western computers are simply not available in GDR. Yeah, I guess. Well, computers today are, just look at the digital decoding that we do, and look at how we're using software-defined receivers in our computers. It's just crazy. And look at the waterfall here. You see all the signals. How do you filter out computer noise when running an outside antenna? The best way is that your antenna should be as far away as possible from your home. And you can then you run that antenna inside using a shielded coax cable to make sure that all the noise within your home isn't creeping into that signal. So, that's pretty much the best that you can do. Is if you have multiple places where you can put an outside antenna, try the different locations, check how much noise you've got, choose the quietest location possible, and then when you found it, that antenna has to run inside your home with a shielded cable, or else you're going to just pick up all the noise. Especially here. Imagine here. So my loop antennas are in the front, which here is nice because 20 feet of wire and I'm in on the radios. But so I got 20 feet of coax. The thing is, when my sloper was in the back, for example, also my VHF antenna is in the back, and the reason why is the only places I could put such long wires like a sloper, it's the only place where I can really set up my VHF mag antenna because the metal shed is helping it. Those are, I've got at least 70 feet of coax, 75 feet of coax between the antenna in the back and the radios here. So it's extremely important in that case to have good shielded coax, because I will pick up all the noise inside my home if I don't. And you don't want that. Bobby Burgess, when the first set of SDRs came out, were they expensive or cheap? They were very, very expensive. If I remember well, the first software-defined receivers that came in plug-in cards within the ISA slots of PCs, and then there were some for PCI slots, which were faster slots, so that you could have better SDRs. They were in the thousands. They were very, very expensive. And I don't recall ever seeing anybody with one of those plug-in cards for radio. Matan Bali, can I zoom in on the buzzer? Okay, let's zoom in. Here, I'm really, really zoomed in right now. This wide, actually. 2 fingers that you see. I don't see anything in there at all. Joe Samblad-Nuas, Mr. Jean FT8, when I see a line with 2 call sign, am I receiving the signal from the first one? You're receiving, that's a great question, by the way. You are receiving the signal from the second one. So, in amateur radio etiquette, if you want, you always mention your call sign last. So when you actually contact a person and end the call, you will actually give the person you're contacting call first and your own call sign last. So it's the same on the FT8. When you see the 2 call signs, you're listening to the one that is the last one. And of course, the easiest is when they do CQ calls, because you have a green line. A CQ will actually highlight in green what you're listening in on that FT8. Mr. Blackpool remembers being amazed in the mid-90s at someone decoding POXAC from a UHF scanner connected to their sound cards. Yeah, there was actually a Windows, something like a Windows 98 program that I used back then, that I think is called POXAG 32 or something, or POC 32. I think it's just POC 32, something like that. And I remember the first time I ever tried that, and being amazed that I could see all the Paget stuff go through, phone numbers, all sorts of things. It was crazy. Take care, Vianney. Always nice to have you on board. See you next week. If you have the time, have a good weekend, Vianney. Dr. Sisap, easy to get up, jury duty. Yeah, well, kind of. I was called to be for jury duty once. That was like 10 years ago. And I would actually, maybe less, but I think it's 10 years ago. We had a really, really, really big court case here with all the criminal groups, organized crime criminal groups. And they actually had a lot of people go through there. And I was actually called to do that. That thing would last, they said that thing would last something like 12 weeks. So that means for 12 weeks, you had to go there every day of the week. From like 9 to 3 or something. And I remember when I went there, I said, well, I can't do that. I have my own business. And I remembered my excuse, which was a perfectly good one, is I can't be off for 12 weeks. I'm going to lose all of my clients. I'm self-employed and I'm alone in my business. And that took me out quite easily. But I'll be very frank, because a lot of people around me were telling me, oh, I don't want to be a jury duty, or, you know what, I would actually like some kind of case that, lasts just a few days or it's not too long. I would actually like that. I was looking at the process, and actually that process, I found it so interesting. And I was like, well, even then, If it would have been something that was just like 2-3 days or a week most, I would have said yes. I would have said, yeah, why not? Why not? Must be interesting. So Microsoft guy got out of jury duty because he said it was needed to help get Windows 2000 out on time. Yeah, absolutely. There are things like that. Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board from Southwest Cornwall. Thank you very much, Jeff. René Charbonnier, we can receive the UVB 76 well here in the Netherlands. Yeah, you know, when I tune any of the SDRs in Europe, I'm amazed at how the buzzer is always very strong. Like their sysop. Yeah, I remember the modems, the first modems that were intelligent. They had their own sets of instructions. You could actually just type the ATDT whatever. And then they came up with what I really hated. I remember buying US robotics modems that were much more expensive than the others because I did not want to have a Win modem. Because for a long time, modems were pretty much on their own. They had their own chips, their own CPU. They would actually do everything hardware. That modem did everything and exchanged that information with Windows. But then somebody came up with the idea of, oh, how about have Windows, deal with everything, and all we need is a little board that can call a number and connect to it, and that's it. And I hated those because Win modems at the time, and that was a problem with a lot. When I started as a tech guy, number one problem of people connecting to the internet with dial-up modems was, well, it disconnects all the time. Yeah, it disconnects because your computer is too slow. And it is so slow that it can't cope with dealing with the modem and everything else. So it would disconnect. But try to explain that to people. Yeah, your computer's too slow. That's why it's disconnecting. Well, it worked fine before. Yeah, that before the 350 updates. Yeah, it did. Because that version of Windows was kind of better. Now it's kind of a little hogged down. And now you're suffering from that connection. I miss one particular aspect of connecting is BBSs, bulletin board systems. Oh man, that I loved. I would go on all night on the different bulletin boards around and post messages and download software. James de Calais, nice to have you here. First computer says it was a Tandy TRS-80 and then an MSX. Shortwave Echo BBS, wow. William Moser, nice to have you on board. It's all good. We talk about different things here. Mark Cobb's got Voice of America 11720, which is usually pretty good here. Let's check it out. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Not as strong as usual, because I hear it's stronger than that from time to time. But it's not bad. 11720 from Greenville. I'm excited, am I, when I receive a pirate station randomly. Well, it's always fun. Always fun. I always get ranting every time we do shows and we talk. You know, the Halloween show? I got ranting of a couple of hams saying, well, how dare you show pirate stuff? Hey, it's an aspect of our hobby, and we can't deny that it exists. And we can't deny another thing. Some pirate stations are actually hams. So I'm sorry, but it's life. And that's the way it is. And I'm always happy to listen to a pirate station. I'm sorry, but I'm always very happy to listen to a pirate station. Talking about pirate, any pirate station being logged right now in North America? There's Folk Central 6939. Yay Man Radio at 2025. So we're at what, 2140? Folk Central 6939. Anything here? I don't see anything here. I see. There's a station on 6870. Anybody receiving that one? 6870. 6870. I got a station. It's not listed on the HF Underground. I'm wondering if it's maybe an official broadcast of some sort. Anything listed on the IBI space on 6870. It has that typical wavy signal. Well, Sound of Hope 6870.1. Am I getting that? And it does sound like some kind of Mandarin Chinese or something. So the only thing listed here, 6870.1, Sound of Hope from Taiwan. But that said, it's not listed there, but maybe that could be the CNR1 jammer from China over it. But it's definitely in Mandarin Chinese. So I don't know if that could be Taiwan Sound of Hope. If it is, it's kind of cool. 6870. Anybody else hearing that one? RFDXer says computers are a good radio tool now. SDRs are run on computers, computer control phasing. You know, computers and radio go well together, especially with the internet. Same thing about radio and the internet. I get the ranting of all the time. The internet killed shortwave, and no, I never agree with that, because internet actually did in the past. The shortwave in the past was already in decline way before the internet actually ever happened, and the thing is that we are there's so much information on the internet about what we're listening to. You know, I just have a station here on 6870. What is that? I went to the internet and went on the IBI Space webpage to see what could be that station, you know? Yeah, FidoNet, all of that. I remember that. Pretty crazy. What else do we have? Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff, Cree Brian. You know, I go in from one subject to the other. We sometimes talk and digress out of it. It is part of what all of this is, honestly. Jersey Bound, Commander Keen. Was it also called Halloween Harry? Oh, I don't know. Take care, Dexpire74. Oh yeah, SDS Plus. That reminds me of something. There was also a. I remember a satellite tracking software that was amazingly good in DOS that never made it to Windows. Honestly, never made it in DOS. RFD Extra says Perseus SDR seems to be the best sounding, and it is expensive. Yeah, it's invisible. Totally invisible, Matambali in 4625. Dave Belisle, WA1UJA. Nice to have you here. Rob says, yes, I would enjoy jury duty as I enjoy the process as well. But a lot of sitting. 12 weeks is long. Yeah, 12 weeks is way too long. Take care, PLF Radio. William Moser, what's the cheapest easy DIY antenna for a portable radio? Do-it-yourself antenna is a long wire antenna. As simple as that. That's the cheapest thing you can do. Long wire antenna. And bring it in with a shielded coax cable. René Charbonnier, take care, my friend from the Netherlands. Oh, and IRC still exists, by the way, the Internet Relay Chat. That still exists. But I remember I remember finding so amazing that we could chat instantly with people around the world. William Conlon using Sony Loop with the G6, amazing. Rogerio Rocha, nice to have you on board from the Azores. Cool. David in Barcelona, nice to have you here. Looking for non-directional beacons using his MLA30 and AirSpy HF Plus. Cool. Max, that's wrong. Pirate radio is romantic. Yeah, tell that to a girl that you met and say, hey, how about a little pirate radio tonight? We'll see if she finds it romantic. Hey, I got La Résolution. 10%. Beer number 3. Joe Somblagnuas talking about old computer and radio here. There was an FM radio station in the 80s that had a show about computing and before ending broadcast every day. MSX Apple II program to be recorded on a tape. Oh, wow. That was kind of cool. I remember my VIC-20 had a tape drive. I would record off of 4-track cassettes, the software. Rufus Newt, nice to have you on board, my friend. Rob, why are some anti-pirate stations? Are they doing something wrong? Well, it's mostly because it's illegal, and some people are very, very, and Yeah, but it's definitely in Mandarin. I'm hearing that Taiwan station or something. So, but it's definitely Chinese. So I'm hearing something from Asia. 6870. Not bad. Vince got something on 6870 also. Dave Todd's got something on 6935 lower sideband. Max Distrunk says empty in Grand Rapids, Michigan on 6870. Yeah, because it technically could be CNR1 because they always jam these transmissions. But who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Without pirates, we wouldn't have all the stations we got now. It's stations. Yeah, Vince, it's definitely in Chinese. Absolutely. Jean-Marc Letts, first computer in Armstrad 664, 1985. Wow. J. Williamson says no reception here. Antenna blew out the tree. Oh, really? You're going to have to get that back up. Mickey Dalmich, 6870. Female in Chinese and music strong here but fluttery. Here it's not super strong, but it's fluttery and it's definitely there. We see it quite well in the waterfall. And now there's some music. So what station is that? Could it be CNR1? Any way to kind of identify, is it CNR1 or that whatever station that is there that is Sound of Hope in Taiwan? How could we differentiate what would be China Radio, not China National Radio 1, from Sound of Hope? So right now we're at 21:51. And apparently it's continuing at 21. So maybe top of the hour. Maybe we're going to stay there and see at top of the hour if we can ID something. So is that Taiwan Sound of Hope or CNR1? It'd be cool if it'd be Sound of Hope, because I think that would be the first time I ever receive it. It's cool because it's direct from Taiwan, which is really nice. And if it's CNR1, well, it's still kind of cool because it's still a signal coming out of China directly. Almost seems to be improving. Actually, it's interesting. We've got an open frequency from Asia to the East Coast here. RFDXer 6870 carrier here, very audio. John N says, can you hear 6870.1? Here, distorted music, very weak. Dave Todd, 6935, lower sideband. Yeah, peskies are probably the biggest chance, especially in lower sideband, around that frequency range. NS Norfolk 6870, good in Virginia. Joey D, nice to have you on board from New Jersey again. Would you say tuning an SDR online is the same as tuning a physical radio? If you're talking of online in the sense of using an SDR from somewhere else, and let's maybe take the time to clear this up a little bit more again. And by the way, guys, I'm 8 minutes behind in the chat. There are 3 ways to tune. You can have a physical radio, tune it. You can have an home SDR, a software-defined receiver that is in your home. This is what I'm doing. So what you see here is not over the internet, but it's an actual radio that I have here plugged into a computer, and the computer is the tuning. It's what I'm using to tune the radio, actually, and that's what you see. And then you've got online SDRs, which are radios like this, but that are people actually will have available on the internet for people around the world to tune in. So it's a very personal thing, honestly. I know that there are a few people that they don't want to buy a radio, but yet they do want to join the shortwave listening capability. I got an email maybe almost a year ago, so it's been a while. I remember getting an email from a guy that said that they didn't want to buy a radio, and that person was very, very, very happy to simply tune SDRs on the internet, like the Kiwi SDRs. And if that person was like, well, I find that that's as fun as listening to a radio in my home. It's still shortwave, but I'm tuning somebody else's radio, and it's just cool. And it's like, yeah, it is in a way, absolutely. I don't have the same feel on using another radio, but I do have a certain side of me that loves tuning SDRs around the world, because you can listen to the medium wave band in a local area where you're not going to hear anything. I was listening. I remember last time I did that, I was tuning a Swedish SDR and tuning the medium wave band to see what is available there. So that's a cool way to see or hear what you're going to get in different areas around the world. Things that you won't get at home for sure. Johnny DXer, nice to have you on board. W3JMC. Joey D had grand jury in the past. I had to sit out a lot of cases because I knew too many of the officers. That's always a problem. NS Norfolk says Airspy Discovery beats my Wind Radio G33 DDC. Perseus SDR play it's, and it's 169. RFDXer, big advantage of an SDR is that the ability to record the entire band. That is one big positive point, absolutely. And the second one, I would say, is that here, this is fun to have a waterfall and see all the signals in a specific range also. William Conlon. Joe, what speed is your processor for the coding laptop? The one with the SDR that I'm using right now is my old Toshiba, which is about 5-ish, 6 years old. And it's a Core i5 processor that is rated at 2.4 gigahertz. Still pretty good performance, even though it's 5 years old. JR's journey is used to smash up old transformers and string out the copper wire to make long wire antennas. Why not? Vive la résolution, RFDXer. Vince, from in Taiwan, Miali in Taiwan. The only thing that I'm scared of is that this could be CNR1 because Sound of Hope is jammed by the China National Radio 1 in two ways. Either China National Radio 1 or jammed by the Fire Drake, which is continuous traditional Chinese music. So we got to be careful in what station could this actually be. But it's still nice. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. David, 6870 is in the noise over here. I can hear some faint music, but it's pretty weak. Dave Bilal had STS Plus for DOS. Would download two-line Keplerian elements data. I remember connecting to a BBS to get the two-line elements to update my software. Let's just well, at least we were lucky about one thing, because I got that big wideband hash signal just very close to it, but not on the frequency at least. But it's just next to it. Yeah, Matt, that's what I'm looking for. I know that CNR1 has time pips at the top of the hour. Time pips. And they just left. They just left. There were some time pips and gone. So I guess maybe this was CNR1 actually. Yeah, Dave, it's some kind of radar or something. It's a big signal. It's very wide. 6815-ish to 6860-ish. which is very wideband white signal. Take care, Matt. Terry Cook says, whoops. Terry Cook, have you seen the Malahit DSP portable SDR? Yes, I did. Looks interesting, that Russian portable software-defined receiver. Kind of interesting. John N., you know, that's a good thing about web SDRs, is that, and a signal like the one we were listening to, you can try, and you can even, you know, another fun thing to do with the web SDRs is compare the signal you're listening to with different radios in different other parts of the world, or even in North America. And it's kind of fun. Sometimes also you might be listening to a signal, it's just a little weak and you gotta have a hard time really knowing what you're listening to. You can use a web SDR to maybe get a stronger signal and have a better idea of what you're listening to, or compare. Sometimes you can compare. Is it the same thing? Okay, I am listening to that station, you know. Rodolfo65, nice to have you here from New York City. J.D. Williamson says, don't turn on the medium wave on the U20 now. It's dark. Lots of stations, including pirates. Oh, Mad Radio DX, okay. So the official stream of CNR1. Mad Radio DX or CNR1 at 6080. Are they still online at this time? I've noticed in the past few weeks a lot of Asian signals, 25, 31, 49 meter band, around this time of day. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you on board. RFDXer 6870, very slightly better reception in Japan than here at the moment. V3KRP, Fast Eddie, nice to have you here from Thunder Bay, Ontario. David, nice to have you here, KJ4CMY. Nissan Greenwich from Dublin, Ireland, nice to have you here. So we heard, absolutely, we heard the time pips. Mickey Dalmage, 6870, had 5 plus 1 time pits, and off the air 22 UT could not find a parallel frequency. Man. Oh, JR's Journey, I used that fax back thing so many times to get manuals via fax. Oh, that was crazy. Jill Nouveau, nice to have you here. Radio Wave Seeker, nice to have you on board. Thanks for your tabletop recommendations. I purchased a Drake R8. It is an amazing radio, absolutely. The Drake R8 is one of the best tabletops made, that's for sure. Next radio you're getting is a JRC 535. That's another great radio. Mark Cope has Adventist World Radio from Guam on 11955. Wow. Just going to check it out here. Nothing here. Not a lot of stuff there. Brazil is very good on 11780. Anything on 9500? Check 31 meter band here. 31 meter band. So what do we have? Very weak 9265. brothers there. Yeah, that's the X for Ray. Spain is strong in 96.90. Mario DX are here. The rest of the links for CNR1 and the Medium Wave list website. Radio Wave Seeker, so far I can say the Drake is everything I always wanted. It has sync and passband. It brings them in amazing. Yeah, it always been, and even I think I would, one of the things that happens with older receivers, with time, of course, newer receivers sometimes have a little something more. Sometimes they add a little more, in performance. But there are a couple of receivers that they are top of the line, and if you compare them to anything today, they still stand out as pretty much top of the line still. And that is interesting because it shows how they were designed back then, and it's still a design that is amazing. So the Drake R8 is one of them. A lot of the Japan Radio Corporation, the JRC receivers are pretty cool also for that. So if you get any of those, you're getting, even though they are getting older, they are still some of the top radios out there that you can just get, actually, for sure. Gilles Nouveau, Port Arthur, Texas. What do you make of the SC3200? I got one, and what about YouTube's terms changes coming soon? Happy DXing. SC3200. Let me just check that out 2 seconds here. SC3200. I'm trying to find what you are referring to here as the SC3200, which I do not find here. YouTube's terms change. Well, you got to live with it. YouTube is YouTube. You got to live with the fact that they have these new rules, and they pretty much do what they want. As long as you try to abide by the rules. Take care, J.D. Williamson. Radio Wave Seeker sold the SDR and 2 other radios to get it. Why not? Take care, Toby Allen. Have a nice rest of your day. WF7I Homebrew. Nice to have you on board. Ça va très bien. Ça va très bien. Supersonic SC3200. Okay. So, Radio Wave Seeker. That's the thing that I don't know. Honestly, I've heard some people change the MLA30 loop with copper wire and say, oh, it's so much better. I haven't done it, so I it's something I should try. I think I got copper wire here that's rigid enough to actually do it. Maybe I should try it. Now, that said, and that's my personal opinion, I don't think it does anything to change anything. If you keep the same ratio, the same size, I can't I can't see why you would get really better performance. I mean, yes, all metals are not equal in their electrical properties. That's true. Copper is better, probably, than whatever that is made of. Is it stainless steel or something? I don't know. So copper is probably a little better because it has less resistance. It's like, okay, if you had one made out of silver, which is even better than copper, or gold, which is even better, I have a hard time grasping that it would be really better. The difference for me would, I think, be very, very small. But it's interesting because I see some people that did it and say, oh, wow, it's so much better since I did that. Okay. I'd like to see hard facts and videos. It's like somebody, when I got my MLA30, I talked about it a lot and said it was fantastic. And I got a lot of people ranting and saying, well, you're not doing a compare video with your W6LVP, so that means it must be crappy and you're just, you're getting a cut on it or something. And of course, I always say, the radio stuff that I talk here on the channel, I have no association with any brand or anything. And it's the best, and it's what I want, because I can say what I have to say about something. If it's crappy, it's crappy, and I'll say it, and I won't hesitate to say it. So when I got the MLA30, one of the first things that surprised me was that the size of the loop is much smaller than the W6LVP loop. So in my mind, no way could that MLA30 be as good as the W6LVP. Loop is smaller, kind of a little flimsy almost. But I set it up. I plugged in. I listened to a signal. First signal I tried was a CHU 3330. Because it's a strong local signal usually here. Very strong on the W6LVP. And I switched to the MLA30 and I was like, it's the same. Not only was it the same, and I think it was even a little bit less noisy. So I was like, whoa. This baffles my mind. The loop is much smaller and it performs as well. So, of course, there's personal opinion and thinking about what could do what. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking changing it changes anything. But then again, it's an easy change on that antenna. It's something we can try. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should dish out my rigid copper wire here and try it out. It's crazy. So, Supersonic SC3200. Oh, retro Bluetooth speaker thing. Built in, yeah, okay, it's like a QFX. That is the QFX boombox, but with added Bluetooth capability. Here's my take on it. So it's very inexpensive. Look, I got the QFX J11. It was on my show on Wednesday. Because it looks the same pretty much. So it's kind of the same design, but with added Bluetooth capability. I don't know, because one of the biggest thing here is because I had an SD card slot, I had a USB connector. You know, this radio looks exactly the same, but with Bluetooth enabled capability. One of the first things that I would say is maybe a downer for pretty much anybody that wants to have something like that is that it's mono in sound, and I would like to know, is that thing stereo in sound? That's the first downer. It's really cheap, and I gotta say that I haven't used it a lot, but when I use it, I notice that it's a little flimsy over time. And I'm not sure that necessarily is a good buy, personally. John Yunking's got the Yaesu VR 500 and the ICOM ICR 75. Great receivers. No problem, Gilles Nouveau. Jean-Marc Letz on 20 SDR, 1611 kHz Netherlands Pirate Radio Utopia with extremely strong signals. Radio Wave Seeker, love your honesty, Gilles. Well, I'm here for that. Rob, very excited to get my first SDR setup. I really like the waterfall, software features, and listening to radio using the computer, even if I get a lot of noise. Yeah, there are ways to alleviate that noise by all sorts of little you know, that is probably the biggest problem in SDR in a computer is noise. Canuck, nice to have you on board from Brazil, my friend. Caduceus type antennas. I don't even know what that is. Wizard of Oz, nice to have you here. The wrench that people have with their names are moderators. They have superpowers. So when somebody does bad things, they have the capability of kicking someone out. RFDXer, JE1AHJ remote SDR. There are shortwave broadcast signals on the 41 meter band pretty much every 5 kilohertz now. When you tune in Asian SDR online, you will see what shortwave was like in North America in the 80s or 70s. A signal every 5 kilohertz. 11775. I got nothing there, but I got something on 11780, which is Brazil with music. Brazil with music, 11780. Yeah, that's what I think too, WF7i Omru. The connectivity differences between copper, silver, and so on. I also think it's too small to do anything. John Youngkin says stainless steel wire. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Radio Wave Seeker. There were people on here saying they never received India before changing to copper. I put caulk in over my screws for winter. Otherwise, I'd try it. Here's the thing. And that's the biggest problem. Biggest problem about testing out shortwave. You cannot test out shortwave and that type of antenna and change an antenna with, for example, India. Because propagation changes day to day, week to week. So you change it and you say, oh wow, today I'm getting India. I didn't get it yesterday. Yeah, maybe if you left it alone, you'd still get India today. I will tell you, I don't think it makes a difference. But yes, absolutely. We are radio guys and we're curious. We want to try it. I am in the position of being able to try it. Maybe I should. And come back to you guys with my own testing. You know, that's the problem, is that on shortwave, there's too many people saying, oh, wow, since I put up that antenna, I'm receiving all of this. Yeah, but with that other antenna, you probably got it also. It's just crazy because it's difficult to really know if the antenna changes what makes it better or not. So, I personally don't think it makes a difference at all if you kept the same ratio of loop, whatever you're using. You could put a gold wire. The only thing is, you're going to get it stolen soon. Somebody will climb and get my gold wire to make money off of it. But you're absolutely right, Radio Wave Seeker. I need to try it. I need to try it. That's, I think, being open-minded is important. You might have your opinion on something. You might think it doesn't work to do something. But I think all of us, at some point in time in what we do, got a little slap in the face saying, hey, you did it, and it does change something. It's like tuning a frequency where you never hear anything and thinking, well, I shouldn't tune there. There's nothing ever. And that one day that you do tune, you hear something. I think we got to be just open-minded enough to try it and see. But we, of course, probably have our own opinion already of, does it do a difference or not? You think it's possible to get faster than light reception? Gilles Neveu. Well, technically, radio waves have to obey the laws of physics, which mean that they are technically not faster than light speed. They are pretty much at light speed, even a little slower, because of all sorts of physical capabilities. Rob respects my honesty. Started following you 2 years ago because you're honest. Cool. ICOM receivers are pretty good. Of the Dawn, how did I get my stuffed rabbit? That is a sad story. It's my sister that died of cancer in 2011. About a couple of years back, maybe 2008, 2009. We had an Easter. She was the one always doing the Easter, get together with my family, and she had purchased a little something for everybody, and mine was a little basket with chocolate eggs and that rabbit. And she looked at me, she says, I know you're a guy, you're not very, you're not into like these little, stuffed animals things, but I thought it was so cute, and it's actually a very cute rabbit. I said, no, it's really cute, And I told her, I says, well, it's fine, it's going to be a souvenir, I'll keep that souvenir here close, And when she died, that little stuffed rabbit has a whole different meaning now. Did your cat ever go to the vet for booty problems? Not yet. Not yet, because I've been actually wiping his booty and hoping that it's it's better than it was. I'm hoping that but because it's gonna cost me $600 or $700 at the vet. But if I see it's not better in a week or two and it doesn't seem to really heal, I'm gonna bring him to the vet for sure. WF7i Homebrew received a frequency counter kit from QRP guys. Can use as display for my QRP Homebrew radios. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. Radio Wave Seeker sold the RSP-1A because I got tired of my best radio had to have me sitting in front of a computer. That's also something, because some people don't want to to spend some time in front of their computers to listen to the radio, and that's perfect, you know. Where's Paul? He's sleeping in the bedroom. He came here like 10 minutes before the show started and then, you know, went back to sleep. Radio Wave Seeker, if it works, Joe, you should get a payout for the design improvement. Yeah. I'll make my own MLA30. I'll call it the Gilles. This is the Gilles loop. Joey D. Gilles, it's just like the ones who buy $9 million HDMI cables, even though on my Amazon Basics for like $5 does the same thing. Yeah. You know, I have one person in my family that has that $15,000 hi-fi system and buys these $100 cables. I do get it that an analog cable of good quality has somewhat of a difference in performance. You know, well shielded will remove some noise. But I buy my HDMI cables for like $5 or $10, and I'm really happy. I mean, they're little, you know, they're zeros and ones, little bits. Rufus Newt. So now we've got a new product here, the gold MLA loop. You just use that loop, and you thought that the old loop could actually suck waves. This one literally sucks all the waves. Even your friends won't have reception because you're gonna get it all. Oh man. Alex Jones climbing the tower to steal my gold. Could I do Sunday night? Nah, Sunday night would be impossible for me. Sunday night is my going out with the friends and having a beer at the bar. And it's a habit that I want to keep. It's my Sunday habit of International Radio Report in the morning. Then spending, you know, the day downtown, and then going to the bar and meet up with friends at the end of my Sunday. It's kind of my way to end the week for a fresh new start on Monday morning. Mike Jam, nice to have you here. Hey, you know, it's something that was very hard at the time of my sister's death, but I do think about her all the time, and you know, that's the a little something to remember her by. I'll keep that forever, you know, until the day I die. Bobby Burgess, like Facebook groups, there are Reddit and Discord groups that focuses on the radios. Do you tend to the groups sometimes on there? Honestly, Bobby, I will tell you very, very honest. I am tired of groups. And apart from specific things on the internet that do add an added value, and when I say an added value is it has the latest information about something that I like to follow, like HF Underground. I was following dozens of Facebook radio groups. Well, you know what? I'm tired and I'm not doing that anymore. I don't need that. And that's why I created my own group, because I wanted to have something that revolves around the fact that here we are a great gang, and it's and we're here to just have fun and share, and I wanted to continue in the Facebook group. And my Facebook group doesn't want to be a competition to any other groups. It just wants to be a complement or an extension to the YouTube stuff that I do. But honestly, I got enough of groups. and following people, radio stuff. So we have Radio Wave Seeker that sent us a picture of his beautiful Drake receiver. Look at that, guys. Ain't it nice? It is a nice looking radio. And we got a PL, Texan PL on the top. That PL 660? Yeah, 660, right? Sitting on the top. How about that? Two different technologies. Well, a more modern one on the top, very portable. But that is nice. Thanks for sharing. It's always cool to have people sharing. Richard saying hello. Richard is located in the suburbs of Vancouver, Canada. And he says that he watches the show, has been watching for the past 3 months now. Always interesting, always fun. Fun to tune around the signals you are actually tuning on your own. And you have no idea how much I've learned from just watching your show. It's just amazing. Please keep this going forever. I love everything that you do. It's really amazing. I'm kind of the shy type, so never really participate in chats, but I wanted to say hello. So cool, Richard, in Vancouver. Suburbs of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Really nice to have all the people around the world. It's just so cool. Of the Dawn, sorry about your sister. I know. I love mine very much and would miss the heck. Yeah. The hardest part, and it's always the one that I tell everybody, is the hardest part, the hardest thing I've ever lived through in my life, I think, was about a week or two before she died, being alone with her at the hospital. And she had tears in her eyes and looking at me and saying, I'm not ready to die. And I mean, she was just 54, which is very young, honestly. Do a live show from the bar with your friends. Too noisy. It would be almost impossible to do so. Megan Dalmage. Now I can't get Belinda Carlisle lyric out of my head. That's my Sunday. That's my fun day. Wasn't that... The other one was the other one was from the Bangles. Remember Manic Monday? And she would say something like, "Are you sure it's Belinda Carlisle? Are you not mixing up Belinda Carlisle with the Bangles, with Manic Monday?" Radio Wave Seeker. Hey folks, who loves the channel and show? Hit the like button. Rob says, your sister was special. Sorry for your loss. After all, she is the reason you listen to the radio. She was an amateur radio operator, for those that don't know, by the way. She was Victor Echo 2 Delta Papa Oscar. Out in Belleuil, Quebec, back then. She was Victor Echo 2 Delta Papa Oscar. And boy, she would be CW all the way. She never spoke. She was CW, and she could send and receive at like 40 and 50 words per minute. It was nuts. It was crazy. I remember being there once, and she was having contacts, and like, whoa, crazy, man. She had a Yaesu FT101, something like that, with a multi-band vertical on top of her house in Belleuil, Quebec. Way back then. So Victor Echo 2. One thing that I wish I would have had is a QSL card that she had made back then. The worst is I had a QSL card. I actually had a little pile of QSLs. I don't know what happened to them. I haven't seen them in ages. Probably lost them somewhere. But I remember in red letters, Victor Echo 2 Delta Papa Oscar. Max S. Strong says, hello, Richard. Rufus Newton wants a Drake. I'd like to have a Drake if anybody has one to donate. Oh, man. Gustavo Pinto. Everybody, Cubic SDR, very good SDR software for Macs. Few options actually for OS X. That's the sad part of other platforms. Windows has the top of everything that's amazing in SDR software. And it's sad that there's not more choices for a Mac OS or Linux. One of the things I think everybody's looking forward to, anybody that will have a SDR Play device, the next version of SDR Uno is supposed to be Linux, Mac, and PC. And that would be, I think, a great leap forward, even for SDR Play devices. Because, I've tried SDR Console, I've tried SDR Sharp, HD SDR. HD SDR is one of my favorites still. But SDR Uno, amazing. I'm not going away from that for sure. Pasquale, I'm going to take the ham exam next year here in Italy. Very exciting. Nice to find people talking live on YouTube. Like you, I learned a lot. Well, it's nice to have you here, Pasquale. And you know what? Maybe I should also, because I don't have my ham license, and I was supposed to this year. And I'm sorry, guys. I will say one thing. Okay, I'm a little sorry. Some of you are probably saying, well, you should have. Look, I got a life that is going at 400 kilometers an hour. And finding time to do different stuff is kind of complicated. What's even worse, and that probably the other part is, remember that here, Montreal's a big city, but for some reason, any ham radio exam course or whatever is always somewhere outside of the city. And, if I want a car, I rent a car. That means, I don't have a car. I don't need a car where I live here. I'm like 2 minutes from the subway. And there's so many buses. In a city like Montreal here, and especially where I live, having a car is more a crazy thing than anything else. And so, it's kind of weird. I actually thought about one thing. I was thinking that maybe if I would be a ham operator, maybe I would like to be a ham radio examiner, because I would be in Montreal doing it for hams that maybe are in the city that would like to be hams, Driver Films Shortwave. Nice to have you here. Radio Wave Seeker. Shield cheerleader. Rah, rah, rah. Hit the blue tie. Oh, man, that'd be with a few beers, that'd be a fun night. Oh, man. WF7I Homebrew says, I feel the same way as you. Groups with radio clubs, not a big fan. Mickey Delmage, yeah, the Bangles. Just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday. And I'll stop here because copyright infringement come real fast. Yeah, Belinda was the same era, same time period with her hits, but that was Manic Monday was the Bangles. And Mickey, that Manic Monday was written by Prince for the Bangles. So it's actually a Prince song. Take care, Joe. Somebody US. Rufus New closest examiner for me is Industry Canada in Ottawa. Yankinos. Nice to have you here, Yankinos. Last night I clipped a 30-foot wire to the Texan 380. Other end to a wheelbarrow, picked up my furthest station ever, Swaziland, over 10,000 miles away. Cool. Cool, Ken. um, portable receivers has a certain length of antenna. And when you actually add a piece of wire to it, it is something that actually helps quite a lot. So, there's a limit. The portables, are just, I would say, like overload easily if you really put really long wires to them. It's interesting because I've plugged into MLA30 to my portable receivers. It's kind of interesting to see how they perform with an antenna that brings in a lot more signals. And I've seen actually the first overload of the XH data, which was kind of interesting. But you know what? That is the first thing. Anybody out there with a portable receiver for shortwave, if you're trying to find a way to improve, clip 20, 30, 40 feet of wire on it and see what it does. Even better if you can go outside somewhere where there's less noise, and then you clip that 30 feet of wire, you're even going to hear more signals. Because the longer the antenna, the more it picks up of that signal. Yes, the more it picks up of noise also. But if you do it right and do it at the perfect place where noise is lower, you know what? You see the difference. I remember when I started in 82 with my DX100, probably the first 2 or 3 weeks, I actually listened using only the telescopic that was on the back of that receiver. And back in 1982, there were so many stations on shortwave that just that was, you had tons of stations. But about 2 or 3 weeks later, I decided to put, I don't know, maybe 20 feet, 25 feet of wire hung on the ceiling of the living room where I lived back then, and plug it in to the little antenna screw in the back of the radio. That was actually the first night that I was tuning in, and I decided, and I still had no knowledge, because remember, there's a certain knowledge of day, night, time, reception, summer, winter. I had no idea of any of that in 1982. That was still far off from the knowledge of shortwave radio listening and radio in general for shortwave propagation. I was not there. But I'm a guy that's very curious. I was tuning everywhere at any time of day or night. I was tuning 2 megahertz in the daytime when I know now that probably there's nothing to listen to pretty much. But back then it was like, no, I still tuned there. I would do a sweep of 30 megahertz any time of day. And I was lucky because in 1982 we were on the downside of a very big solar cycle. So it was still a lot of solar activity. Higher frequencies were propagating really well. It was August, so still, kind of summer type listening, even though we were going to fall. And I remember that night that I put that 25 feet of wire, I went up to 21 megahertz. It was 11 p.m. local time, which means that the sun had set for more than 2 hours. And I hear the signal in English in that 21 megahertz frequency range. I listened in for, I think, an hour before I had an identification of what I was listening to. Because I had, identifications a little before, but, sometimes they ID or they say something that might help you know what you're listening to, but it was in the down of the, because signals fade out, in and out. And I think it was top of the hour. And I still remember how excited I was. guy saying, "Hey, this is Radio Australia." And I was like, "What?" And then I heard the da 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 da. So for those that have listening to Australia for a long time, you might say, "Oh man, yeah." So and then it was top of the news, top of the hour news, and the amazement, that moment where, I was still in the excitement of all of this new shortwave stuff. And I remember I just couldn't believe that I could be listening right now to Australia, which was on the other side of the world for me. It was that signal that was really opposite. And it's later that I knew that in 21740 was one of the frequencies that a lot of North Americans were actually tuning in because of the high solar activity back then. 21740 was a good signal to North America. It was a signal meant for the Pacific, I believe. But because it was in the general direction of North America, it was one of the signals that I would hear regularly. But man, and all of that because I did one simple change. Instead of using the little telescopic, I thought that it might be a good idea to put 25 feet of wire. And of course, from then it grew. I at some point had something like 120 feet of wire across, above the roof, across up to the backyard where I lived back then. It was crazy, but man, that's the fun. That's the fun of experimenting and clipping wires and stuff. Radio Wave Seeker, plan on installing horizontal 4-inch little beams on my MLA, just copper twisted on the loop and at intervals about every 4 inches. That's going to be interesting. DE2TRF, nice to have you here from Germany, and he's apparently on a 160 meter band, 19885 lower side band. RFDXer, man-made noise is like light pollution. Absolutely, it's radio pollution, but it's like light pollution. You can see more stars if you get away from the city. Same thing for the radio. Take care, Fanning Xenakis. Always nice to have you here. David in Barcelona says, now that you mentioned the XH data, I got one on my way. How could I forget? I picked it and a Degen DE13 up last Monday, taking advantage of Singles Day sales on AliExpress. Radio Wave Seeker. I use the PL660 on the Drake to scan the bands and find what I want to hear. Flip the antenna switch and listen to what I want to hear on the Drake. Oh, cool. Taking my XH data on holiday, end of the month. Hopefully there will be no QRM. Can't even shortwave at home at the moment. Yeah, that's the sad part of our hobby. So sad. Hey, Don Brown. Nice to have you here from LaBelle, Florida. You know, that's the sad part of... I was lucky. Honestly, I was very lucky in one way. When I started listening in 82, noise was not really a problem in general. And I could put 50 feet of wire in the living room and not have noise bothering me. It just made more signals. Today, you do the same thing, but you get is more noise, and you don't get signals. And that's the sad part of the hobby, because I see people on my channel sometimes commenting and saying, well, I got a portable radio because I saw all you can receive at your home. I get nothing where I am. And it's, it's sad, and I don't know why I'm not getting signals. One of the biggest problems of our hobby and understanding, because you get a radio, you're not an expert in RF frequency signals and noise and stuff. Noise is not even coming across your mind when you get a shortwave radio. when you get a shortwave radio, you're thinking of all those signals I'm going to get from the world. And then you go home and you turn it on and you hear nothing. And what a lot of people don't notice, and probably that's the biggest problem, because they don't notice, is that little indicator of signal on top of the radio, it's stuck at maximum of noise. And they see that indicator maxed out, but they don't get it. Because you don't get the fact that noise actually is also, for a radio, a signal that it receives. So they look at it and they think, well, this thing is crap. That was a scam. Tuning the world with this little box, that's the biggest scam in the world. And it's just that they don't grasp the fact that the noise around them is preventing the reception of signals. And a lot of people buy those thinking that I'm going to sit in my favorite chair in my living room, turn it on, and here comes the world. In 1980, that was true. In 1980, you'd get a radio. And even the worst radio in the world in 1980 would receive something. I mean, when I compare today the DX100 with my other radios, man, the DX100 was a crappy radio for the time. It's really not that great, actually. But it didn't matter back then because there were so many signals and so many strong signals and so little noise that you would tune and receive tons of stations. There were a lot of stuff out there. And it just didn't matter back then. You had a crappy radio, you didn't even know it because there were so many stations. It was like, wow, this radio is amazing. It's getting all sorts of stuff. But today I know that, for example, when I was talking about Radio Australia earlier, if I had a thing like my ICOM, or even a portable, the XH data beats the crap out of the DX100. That signal would have been way stronger and way better, actually. But, you got to do what you do with what you have, and that's it. If I would have started the hobby today, I'm not sure I would have stayed in it. What made me stay? I was curious, but there was something out there. The amount of stations, the number of stations you could listen to, totally made me continue. I wanted to continue listening for sure. If I had a radio today, say I would purchase an XH Data D808 out of curiosity. Apparently that thing tunes the world. That would also mean that I would be back at the knowledge of my DX100, meaning I don't understand a thing about what I'm doing with the radio and with whatever I'm listening to. Tune it here in my office where listening to signals is pretty much impossible. I'm not sure I would have, and imagine, okay, I would have heard a few signals all talking about Jesus and Brother Stare, and I would have thought, what the hell is that? And probably never have used it again, Probably never used it again. Another aspect of our hobby, and I saw it with a few of the newbies that are here on the channel, kind of coming up to me and saying, you know what, I tune and I hear nothing. And on their part, the problem isn't the noise. The problem is the other aspect of shortwave, is understanding what frequency you tune to at what time of day, because daytime and nighttime listening is not the same. And 30 megahertz of spectrum is pretty big. There's a lot of stuff in there. So you got to know where the international broadcast bands are, to international, broadcast stations, and so on. And I got a few saying, well, I don't hear anything. And then I will say, well, where you live, try that, try that, try that, and try that. And then they come back and say, hey, I heard all of those. Okay. The problem is with the knowledge of where to listen to and what time to listen to some of the signals you're going to get. So, and that was the other aspect. I remember when I would be the intense, I was the, like the Radio Shack geek, little kid that goes to Radio Shack and geeks out there, like, spending an hour and a half drooling over all the stuff that I could get if I had money, which I did not, so I never got those. And, but seeing people purchase shortwave radios. And we're talking late 80s, early 90s. I remember the one of the best examples was a guy purchased a Grundig Yacht Boy 400. Because they sold those at Radio Shack at one point in the early 90s or something. And I saw the guy come back. Well, I didn't see him purchase, but I see the guy come back. And I'm listening in, And the guy says, well, I'm not getting anything. I think it's broken. And I look at the guy and says, well, you know where to listen and what time to listen. And there are periods where you can listen to stuff. And the guy's, I look at him and say, I'm a big fan of shortwave radio. And I know, that maybe you're just not listening at the right time because I got that Yacht Boy 400 and it's an amazing radio. And I don't think it's broken, So the guy looked at me and says, okay, well, what should I do? And said, look, you know what? I'll give you my phone number. And when you have some time, call me. We'll meet up. And I'll show you what you can listen to and how it works and everything. Which we finally did maybe 3 months later. And I spent an evening at his place. He never heard so many signals. Why? Because I knew where everything was at different times. So, it's a complex hobby. Every hobby is complex. Shortwave is not more complex than, connecting stamps or anything else. It has its complexities and its way of doing things. Collecting stamps is the same thing. There's a lot to know, a lot to learn. Every hobby has tons of things you need to learn. But, a lot of people don't really take the time and understand it. And they just buy something, try it, and after, 10 minutes, they're like, okay, this thing doesn't work. I'm going to do something else now. Radio Wave Seeker. My phone is ringing. So Radio Wave Seeker. Let's just go back here. Bought a center surround speaker and a guitar amp cable to use for an external on the Drake. People on the net say the center speakers are awesome for radio. Huh. Kevin Wood, 9620. That's maybe a little late here. Maybe they're already left. But I've got... Yeah, I got something, definitely. It could be VOA Philippines. I've often heard VOA Philippines in the time. It's too weak here to make out, though. Pagemaster, Canberra in Australia, dish number 43 is in communications with Voyager 2. Well, I would say that the Wi-Fi and cell doesn't mess with the noise, but the devices that are doing this mess with the noise, like routers, for example. Yep, Voyager 2, Voyager 1 spacecrafts, it's amazing. They are actually outputting just like 5 watts in that antenna. That is like 11, 12 billion kilometers from here. It's just crazy. MLA30 is nice because it's like the Radio Wave Seeker says. It's nice because it makes shortwave listening and more affordable thing if they have a little bit of noise and want to try to have an indoor antenna. Hey guys, here's the star of the show. Here we go. Mr. Paul is here to say hi to everybody. So yeah, the MLA30 is cool for that because it's actually really making the possibility of getting a loop antenna and something worthwhile a cheap buy. Because honestly, it's just crazy. It's just crazy when you the loops before. And we got to think about something very important, guys. Okay? And that's something we can forget easily. We're not all willing to spend a huge amount of money for our hobby. You know, remember when you bought your first radio, did you want to spend $2,000 on it? Maybe not. Maybe you wanted to spend just $100 and have it working and do what you really want. So remember that today is the same thing. Somebody, I don't know how many times. And you realize this also. I don't know how many times I had people that were just telling me, you're rich. You got that $200 radio or $100 radio. You got an SH data. I can't afford that. You got to remember that there are people out there that will have just, a radio like the XH data, for example, or even a Texan PL 380, sorry. And that will be their radio because they can't afford anything else. And that thing needs to still work and have something to listen to. They're going to want to have that working. And for a lot of people, they spend, $50 on the radio is a lot of money. So that thing better work and do what it's supposed to do. Rufus Newt left his DX300, has been modded. Use it for medium wave DXing. RFDX, they're too cold to take the radio here out in the park in the winter. Take care, Radio Wave Seeker. Brian Penny, clandestines and pirate radios, still the Wild West. Always something to listen to. And it's always fun, actually. Honestly. Dave Todd was away from the hobby from 2000 to 2017. The difference is amazing. Low signals, high noise. Now at 69, I hope this cycle coming is a good one. Oh, man. Take care, RFDX, sir. Oh, man. I think I got one picture somewhere of me in front of my DX302. I need to dish that out and try to show you guys. Kevin Wood, just looking at Google Earth images of VOA antenna array at Tinian, Philippines. Yeah, this is a big... the Philippines transmission of VOA is... antenna and everything is amazing. It's an amazing antenna farm. An amazing transmitter relay station. Levin Aiton, nice to have you here. A lot of QRM with my MLA30 exception reception, but noise. I have to use the antenna attenuator to not overload the radio. If you own MLA30, is very noise. Change local mode or use the attenuator. You will see a lot of differences. Keegan, welcome back. Yeah, Voyager on QRP driver films. Pretty much. Yes, that's a Amiga 500 scene Fitzgerald. Gene Player. Nice to have you here, Gene. Been into the shortwave since 1964. Ham since 1972. Cool. Nice to have you here. Kevin Wood, 9650 in French. What the hell was that? Little sneeze, man. Yvonne, nice to have you here. Aichalakov. Is 6050 coming in, Hugh? Let me check it out. What the hell? You're sneezing, it's everywhere. Wow. You got a little hair in your nose. 6050. It's actually pretty good. Oh man, that sounds like HCJB right now. 6050, guys. If you can hear it and remember HCJB from the 80s, listen to it. The Indian music playing right now, man, that's HCJB. HCJB right now. Bringing back memories. And pretty good signal. I got it at S9. S9 here, Yvonne. DJK Solo, nice to have you here. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you here. Jersey Bound, cool. Never heard or saw a cat sneeze before. Yeah, and he was actually sneezing, and I think in my beer there's probably a lot of his a snort inside my beer or something. Oh man, Paul is allergic to me. I knew it. Paul is allergic to me. Oh man, that Indian music on 6050 from HCJB. Hey guys, give me 2 seconds because I got a really important call. I will go pee. I will have another beer if you guys want me to continue. And I just want to know what's happening because the person that just called never calls unless there's some kind of really important thing happening in life. So I'm going to get my beer, listen to my call, and I'm back in a few seconds. Tune in 6050. HCJB out of Ecuador. The last and only frequency of HCJB left from Ecuador. Back in 2 seconds, guys. And we are back with another Fin du Monde. So I still don't know what's happening because the only message left was Can you call me back? I got something to talk to you about. So I don't know. We'll be calling later. So, hey guys. I'm just going to check if everything is all right. Yeah, pretty good. As we have cat's not better than SWR grease. No, Paul, if Paul would be allergic to radios, he would already have sneezed his way out. Black eye. Man, I can open that darn beer. Chris Alpha Tango just cracked his first beer open. Jeopardy. The big fan of Jeopardy. I remember, that reminds me of when I was young. I was a teenager, and I would watch The Price is Right and see people win all of these prizes. William Conlon opened his sixth beer, 13.5%. Oh boy, you're getting drunk. You must be getting drunk. So, Chris Alpha Tango listening to DMR. So anybody hearing HCJB on 6050? You're watching the Shortwave show, and by the way, guys, I'll do a little self-promotion here. Remember that if you like what you see and hear, PayPal.me/shortwave, or just go to PayPal at the Yahoo email. That I'm just posted. And remember that, this is a operation that costs money to do. I need a better internet. I need equipment. I need a good computer. And your donations help tremendously in, paying for all the stuff that I need to pay for and keep this working. I'm here twice a week now. Think about it as, I don't know, are you subscribed to Netflix? How about thinking of maybe it could be, a subscription to Gilles? Especially if you love radio, you love what we do, you love hanging out all the time with, great people talking about radio. It's something very unique. And this is something I'm happy to do. And your donations help tremendously. So if you can spare a little something, please do so. It's always welcome. And like I said, really, really helps a lot. So thanks for all donations. Thanks to the donators. You know you are. And, any amount helps. You don't have to worry about it. And thanks for being great fans of the show. So, Matambali, 3885 ham conversation in AM. Yeah, 3885, 3875, 3880. These AM guys are often there. Rufus Newt, 6050 here, getting better. Kevin Wood, let's try 9650. I got a very, very, very faint signal on 9650. Yvonne, reception in Mexico, 6185. Let me try it out here. Oh, not bad, actually. I actually have kind of two stations mixed in. In there. Really, two stations mixed in. So, but usually later in the evening is when I get Mexico better. That's one of the frequencies I often get. Mexico 6185 Mexico. Is there any other station from Mexico on shortwave? I think that's kind of the last one. One of the last one. Keegan, power went out briefly a few minutes ago, came back after a few minutes. Huh, interesting. Hope that it stays on. And you're listening to watching the shortwave show in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Spain should be in English right now. Some music, but pretty good signal. Spain 9690 coming in quite well. They're supposed to be in English right now, in French in 15 minutes. So that's kind of interesting. Spain making a pretty good signal here. What else do we have? Keegan 9690 is Spain. Radio Guinea is on 9650. Mickey Dalmage, anybody heard Radio Santa Cruz, Bolivia? It's been a very long time. I remember listening to them and knowing that it was them because they were off frequency a little bit. That's interesting. I got a... Are you guys tuned to 6135? I get that link thing right in the middle of the smack of the 49 mirror band. But no, I haven't heard Bolivia 6135. They usually had a pretty good signal up here in Montreal. Last time I had heard them, but I haven't heard them in a long time also. So I'm not sure they're still on. WOHP 9690 plus 20 in Western Ohio. Chuck Yunkin 9690 S20. Joe Gomez 9690 on his PL 880 coming in with some noise in San Diego. Ivana says, I used to hear 6135 from Bolivia, but not recently. Or Al Caravan 5910. Berlet Antoine. Hello there. Nice to have you here. Where are you from, my friend? Let us know where you are from. And please take the time to let us know where you are when you say hi, when you know, in your interactions. It's always fun to know where everybody is from. Really helps us like pinpoint, you know, where in the world. It's a big world. Oh, Belletant one from New York. Cool. William Collin, do I ever listen to the HF Aero bands? Quite regularly. Let's try one here. 5598. Let's see if there's something in... I often listen to the Aero bands with planes over the Atlantic with Gander in New York. Jean-Marc Letts has no ACJB but gets China PBS on 6050. But Brother Stare on 6055 from Bulgaria. Oh, really? Oh, man. Miguel Almage, who is on 9745? I have nothing here at all. And if we look at the schedules, 9745. The only station... What language is it, Mickey? The only station that I have here on 9745 is Radio Bahrain, Shabab FM in Arabic. And it's supposed to be a 24-hour broadcast. Is it in Arabic? Yvonne, is Burn Radio still around in Stockholm? Nope. Radio Sweden's gone. Radio Swiss Radio International's gone. Unfortunately. Kevin Wood has a weak carrier on 9745. So, kind of interesting. So what language is it, Mickey? Can you make out the language? Here, all I have in the EIBI list is Bahrain in Arabic. Yvonne, I was asking about aeronautical stations. They were Big Burn Radio and the Stockholm Radio and Burn. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. Stockholm Radio is still there, yes, absolutely, and some of the frequencies. Big Burn Radio, I don't recall seeing though, but Stockholm Radio, yes, absolutely. No, 9650 Kevin Wood is very, very weak for me. 9650 is barely there. It's there, but not very strong. Oh, it's getting better though. In some of the peaks, it's I can actually kind of listen into. There's some talk for sure. Sunshine Forever, 3500. Maybe you mean 3485. It depends if because 3400 to 3500 kilohertz is aeronautical band. There's some music now, Kevin Wind on 9650. I'm hearing it well enough to see that there's some music. But I know that Stockholm Radio is still there, Yvonne. Let me just check out here if I do Burn. Yeah, Burn Radio, 4250.5 in CW. From Switzerland, HEB Burn Radio, Switzerland, CW. It's reported here. 6368.5 and 8446.5. Really? I've never... I want to try. I'm curious. 4250.5. 42... Anything there? Nothing, but apparently there's some CW. It says 24 hours. Kind of interesting. The mysteries. Max Estrong. Second glass of Pinot Noir, roast chicken, and sweet potatoes in the oven. The smell of fresh bread. Heaven. And of course, Jill. Oh, man. I don't know yet what I'm going to eat here. I actually ate some McDonald's pretty late in the afternoon, so I'm still kind of not really hungry. Yvonne says, sometimes I leave DSCC decoder overnight, and in the morning I see the log file with all the ships calling. Sometimes you can catch some exotic vessels. Oh, cool. JR's Journey was... What was the Boston weather station frequency, and can you use Robot 36 to decode it? No, it's WeatherFax. Robot 36 decodes slow scan television. 6339 upper sideband was one of the frequencies. And right now, I don't hear anything. I think they're off for a while. I know they are on 4 megahertz also. William Moser. Last night I had a hard time trying to get any stations in the clear. I was using my Texan PL606. JR's Journey. If you're using what device are you using? An Android phone or tablet? Because you can use let's check it out here. I got an app for weather facts. I'm trying to find what's the name. I don't got it anymore. Trying to find the software I use for weather facts on my phone. I'm not finding it now because I have too many apps to look through, but okay. You do have a weather facts decoder. Let me just check it out here. Weather facts decoder. HF Weather Facts by Black Cat System and HF Weather Facts for Marine by Wolfie LLC are two apps for Android for weather facts decode. Both of them are not free, I believe. Max Headstrong, Shortwave and a cold wintry night. Ode to joy. And yes, there is a Facebook page once again. If you are interested. Yeah, Dave Todd, 9108 or Run 9110. Boston Weather Facts is also there quite often. So yes, we have a Facebook page for those that are wondering and want to meet up and talk radio, show your radios, and post your what you're listening to. It's kind of an extension, once again, to what we do here. Official SWL channel is the name of the Facebook page. I want it to be that place where we all go to and share what we are doing with our radios. When you are on the radio and just like, it's like continuing the chat room a little bit here, almost. And everybody can just share all sorts of stuff. And it's been great. I find it really nice. It's very different for all the other, very different from all the other Facebook groups that I've been to, because the other ones are more like people are just, sharing, asking questions and stuff like that. Here, it's that Facebook group is more like an active part, like of what everybody's doing. And I try to post there, by the way, every time I listen, every time my radio's on and I'm doing something, I try to post a maximum of whatever I'm listening to and so on. So it's kind of a great place to be. So official SWL channel, look for that on Facebook. It's the same name as the YouTube channel here. And you can actually share and continue sharing when we are not live. Kimberly, timing is everything. My power supply gave up the ghost just a few moments ago. Good news, I am going to borrow Will's AA6DDs tonight. Cool. Corn Patch DX, nice to have you here, Mrs. HCJB. Really like the programming, the DX show. Can't remember the name. Yeah, DX Party Line. Was the DX Party Line. I remember the Saturday lineup was fun. Musical Mailbag and DX Party Line. That was kind of cool. Nice to have you on board from Iowa. Really nice. Blues Dude. Nice to have you here. Thanks for the comments. Max Estrong. An after hours club for shortwave listeners. WF7I HCJB 6050 about S5. Cool. What else do we have? Beni Small Messahoud. Hi, all the listeners in the Xers of the world from Algeria. Nice to have you here. Really cool. We have quite a few people from Algeria. Really nice. Oh, yeah, the Andean music is amazing, WF7I. Max S. Strong says he has a goal to share at least one logging per day on the Facebook page. That's a good goal. That's a good goal. Joe Gomez has 9630 China Radio. Check it out here. 9630. There's a very weak signal. Very weak signal. Nikki Dalmich says, I'm going to say 9745 is China. Sounds like a language lesson. Cannot find a parallel. It's possible. It's possible. So, hey guys. It's been a fun night. I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I'm a little tired. And I want to call back that person because they seem to be a little in panic and want me to call back, and it's kind of in my mind while I'm doing the show now. So I want to say thank you all for being great fans, for being here. Thanks for those that have made donations during the show. Thanks for everybody. Without you guys, there would be no show and no 3 hours and 30 minutes. You know? Hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we will, of course, continue. If anybody wants to post anything, join the Facebook group. Really, really nice, and it's pretty cool to see everybody here. So take care, my friends. Love you all. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Hey, Mike Hanna 261. Nice to have you here. And you know what? Stay safe. And don't forget, we are here twice a week. We are here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 UTC. And on Friday at what time? 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, or 20 Universal Time. Take care. Listen to the radio, please. It's time to listen to the radio. Log whatever you have, what you receive, and share it with us when we do the live shows too. What did you listen to in the last week, and so on. So take care, my friends. Stay safe, and see you next week for another Shortwave show. Bye, everybody. Take care. Love you all.